Welcome to another episode of Muscle Matters. I am joined by the legendary Tom.
Muscles do matter. And hey, like us and subscribe. That's what I'm doing right now.
And the amazing Eric Fratwell, owner of this amazing gym. And it goes right around the topic, Collective Gym. Tell us a little bit about Collective before we skip away.
So a nice summary of Collective is really, we wanted to bring back an old school feel. You know, we wanted the mentality of just getting in there and getting after it. But we wanted to do it in a little bit more of a modernized aesthetic, right? You know, everything these days is, you know, everyone wants to post, everyone wants to be, you know, have a perfect background for their photos, especially fitness related. So we really wanted to bring the atmosphere that was like aesthetically pleasing to look at, to be in, you know, great lights for actual, you know, photography and just seeing yourself in the mirrors. But also we wanted not to take away from the actual point of being there, which was, you know, getting a great workout in.
So you guys are almost a bougie gym with a little bit of old.
It's like a half bougie gym with the old school feel. You walk in though, you have, you know, good music blaring. It's music that everything in there is really made to motivate you to, you know, hit that workout that you need to do.
So do you guys have a limit for texting?
Not officially, but what I will say is, you know, what's great about the type of gym we've built is we have people who have been in, you know, training for 30, 40 years down to people who just started this year. So the people who have been around for, you know, a long time and understand kind of a good gym etiquette, gym, you know, appropriate gym behavior, right? They don't have a problem with, I don't want to not coming off negative, but they don't mind checking people, you know. They'll make sure they're re-racking their weights. They'll make sure they're not hogging equipment for too long.
That's it. No,
you know, yeah,
they bodily check you.
Yeah, well, when you got Steve in there, I mean,
you're like, no, oh, excuse me.
So it's a great blend, right? I think it's one of those where, you know, the younger generation can really learn a lot from the older guys there.
No, I like it. So I'm being facetious, Steve. So, yeah.
Well, today's episode, what we're going to do is perfect for Eric being here. It's modern gyms versus old school gyms, and we're going to talk about a little bit of both of them. And Tom's one generation. I'm the generation after Tom, and Frapp is the generation following me. So the perspective is going to be awesome. So stick around.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Muscle Matters. And Tom, tell us a little bit about Covenant Coffee here. They are sponsors for this lovely show.
So you're putting me on the spot because I'm still trying to share our thing, our link.
Well, that's why you're a legend.
Yeah, Covenant Coffee is owned by Randy Martin, and Randy has started Covenant Ministries. So they have on the back, they have their tagline, "Hope in a Cup." That hope is for the emancipated foster kids that are in the program. They've graduated out. What do they call it? They've termed out. You know.
Yes.
I think it's called parole in certain.
They got their kick.
Yeah, and so they got out, but they still need help. So Randy employs them. He gives them an opportunity to learn life skills, as far as they're roasting beans, serving the coffee, retail experience, customer service, which is really important in this day.
Especially in this day, yes.
Yeah. And so they're able to do it. And he also helps them with housing. He does so much for this group. We like to support that. He has 2 locations, one on North Chester, the other one right across the street, Mohawk and California Avenue, the old Cloud 9 coffee shop. He just purchased that. So go out, have a cup of coffee. You can see Mike, Harvey, and I will be in there tomorrow morning having a meeting over there. So
which one?
The one on Cloud 9.
Okay.
Yeah. We're gonna be over there. We're gonna
can't help them going to the wrong one.
Hopefully, doing some more business with our podcast there, Steve. So
yes.
Check us out. All the shows that we do. I want to make sure you do. And Blake Bernard is now moved Train to Win to Friday.
I can't believe he ditched me.
I
made one comment about his overalls. He ditched me.
I'm glad you made Blake. The overalls were over the top. I'm just saying. I can't believe Eric can let you out of the house with those on.
And the perm. I think it might have been the perm. I think the perm might have taken it too far.
You're going there, Steve. Wow.
Well, he's not here. That's why he shouldn't have ditched me.
So see if he's watching the show or not.
Yeah. We're going to comment if he's watching the show, or maybe he just texts me. But there again, Blake's over on Fridays because he says he gets his East Coast friends in.
Yes.
On that.
Got an awesome show. Make sure you tune in and check it out.
Check it out. Train to Win. And they got Eric here. He's a young gun. And I just look like a bookend here, or I'm, yeah.
Now,
That's who we are.
Today's episode, I went down a rabbit hole for this episode.
I love that though,
really,
Steve.
because I look at the gyms. I still have a passion for working out. You still have a passion for working out, and Eric is still in the prime of his life.
Yeah, he's still a competitor.
And I look at these gyms like before I became domesticated. You would look up, and I was gone on the weekends. I couldn't tell you how many times my mother would call me like, "Boy, where you at?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm at such and such." With who? By myself. I just came up here to work out.
Yes.
I would that was my weekends. If I had a weekend to myself, I would drive to these gyms because I wanted to be in these gyms. I wanted to be around these places. So I went to all these different gyms, and it was always like collective. It's really cool. It was always a letdown coming back to Bakersfield. It really was like, okay, we're back. So, and then I see these gyms today that I just like, especially the ones in the Middle East. Those are awesome. And I see this new equipment where I'm going, oh my God, I want to, best way I can say this, I want to play on it.
Disneyland.
Yeah, I want to play on it. Like
I appreciate maybe a movement that I used to be able to do, but I just want to get in just to feel it. It's just like, I know we're sick, we're twisted. We have a thing called iron poisoning. Yep. And once you get inflicted by iron poisoning,
I see these equipments in Dubai, and I'm like, can I go? Yeah. I wanted, who has these equipment so I can use it? So that was one of the cool things when I went to Collective. You guys have that raw equipment, and I thought that was pretty awesome about the raw equipment. And it was some machinery there that I wanted to use, Tom,
was anybody texting on the equipment?
Yeah, it's the modern day. I might have been one of the people texting.
I got so angry the other day, and I just said, just relax, Tom. You don't need to use that piece of equipment. You can go. What you're doing doesn't require that piece of equipment. And that bothered me as much as everything else, because that voice in me, I think it was the Holy Spirit, was right. I don't need that piece of equipment.
I have learned to just look at people and go, you can have it.
Yeah.
Now that other dude was not nice, but I was on a mission. I'm not on a mission anymore. I just enjoy working out.
Well, that
does make a big difference.
Yeah, you know my stories, with and I don't talk about the oak, the Austrian oak very much. And but we'd go to the gym.
How was his gym manners?
Well, he did have no manners.
Okay, I was going to say, because he was the king of the world.
Yeah, he'd piss people off.
I bet he did.
And he didn't need them, but I did. And I'd have to apologize after he left. I say, well, you know him. And the crazy thing, everybody knew him, and so they're like, "Yeah, I would just forgive you, but man, you got to watch who you hang around, Tom." I'm like, so there was a sarcastic gym etiquette.
So Tom, you and I had this conversation, and we're going to jump generation to generation to generation. You and I had this conversation, and the conversation centered around cardio. Uh-huh. And I said, Tom, what did you guys do for cardio? What type of equipment you in? What equipment? Yeah. We were outside.
Yeah. If you wanted to run, if you wanted to run, you had to run someplace.
Yeah. So there were no stairs.
If you wanted to bike, you had to ride a bike someplace. So
you actually got places though. You weren't doing it in one position for 60 minutes.
Yeah. Basically, your workout became, very aerobic.
I remember the first time I saw a stair mill.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, this is awesome.
Yeah. When the first time I ever saw cardio come into a gym was in the aerobicize classes.
Okay.
Because the bikes weren't even there.
Yeah.
They called it aerobicize back then. Then it went to jazzercise.
The Q and John Travolta and
Jane Fonda.
Yeah. So you just walk by the big window where they're having a group class, and they're all dancing. And you're like, oh, that's interesting.
Still around. It's called Zumba now.
Yeah.
Change the name.
So, I'm telling you, I told Steve one time, I remember being at Gold's Gym Venice and walking over to the beach. And as I was looking there, back where the rings were, now it's all cement. And of course, the pit had rusted equipment. They have nice new equipment nowadays. But you'd go out there and there was like 300 people on the beach doing Tai Chi.
Oh, wow.
And that was group exercise, right?
Yes.
I mean,
they do it at the park now. They call it butt classes.
So as you're out there, you got to realize there's nothing new under the sun. There's maybe a better way to do it with the machine or a better way to do it. But I remember those Tai Chi classes and they were all together. And to me, it was like, so choreographed. I mean, you probably have to go to a class to figure out how to go to that class.
Yeah.
And so now you see the people in aerobics, you see people in a gym workout setting, and they're doing the same thing.
Well, what we'll do now is we're going to go, like, I remember telling you how amazing it was the first time I saw somebody using a DVD player on a Stairmaster. And I was like, oh, I'm going to put a DVD player on a Stairmaster. And then just
watch something while I do something.
Because I would read these novels and I couldn't remember what I read.
Yeah.
Now you get, because you're brain dead. And now you've tuned over with Frap. Tell us about your cardio equipment, all the modern aspects of it.
Yeah.
So I know they have like cardio rooms and all that neat stuff now.
Yeah, we've kept cardio to a minimum, right? Because we really wanted to emphasize all the weight training, which is what our niche was, right? We wanted to really push on weight training. But we do have some really cool treadmills, and they're just Life Fitness, one of the newer models. But the screen is better screen than we used to have 20 years ago, just in our homes. It's a big 22-inch screen, and you can play games on it. We got solitaire and a couple other card games. I mean,
Can I hook my PS5 up to it?
Almost.
I might not leave.
There's a little slot to hold it, but you can put a trail on it. It emulates you walking on a trail. It'll raise the incline up and change the speed depending on the path you're taking. You can walk through like Rio. I mean, there's different places and scenic routes you can actually virtually walk on these treadmills. It's pretty unbelievable. It really does help the time go by when you're doing that.
It does, because sometimes I don't bring headphones, but I watch the closed caption, and so I try to read very fast.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. What headphones were there back then? They gave us televisions, but half the time at 24 hours, the jack didn't work.
Or didn't pick up that channel.
Yeah.
It's like somebody had changed the channel and didn't change the receiver.
That used to be like the most upset. I remember one time getting yelled at by a guy, and I was still young and I didn't understand things. And he came up front and he yelled at me. I was the manager on shift at the time. And he yelled at me because the stock market wasn't on. And I was like, bro, you're at the gym, work out. but that's what I'm thinking. But I had to go put it back on the stock market. And that TV was always on the stock market. Now that I'm older and I understand, you can literally go broke in 5 seconds if you don't keep your eye on the stock market. I understand him now. But yeah.
It's so different from the beginning days. We got a video. Let's roll the old school video, because this kind of sets a little bit of.
I thought this place was awesome.
Has evolved with us to get an idea of how much I'm going to be visiting the country's oldest and newest gym. We have now arrived at not only the oldest gym in the country, but the oldest gym in North America. So it's actually beside, this is Buy Fitness. That's not it. There's a little black sign that says gym. So this is Oliphant's Gym, founded in 1913 by a man named William Oliphant Jr., also known as Buster. He was a trainer and bodybuilding expert. Unfortunately, he passed away, but a few members and friends have kept the gym alive as a nonprofit. I feel like when you see a sign like this, you're hit with like this wave of uncertainty. Like, is it a gym or like an underground like gambling casino kind of thing? But going.
I love this. They had the door open.
You definitely don't want to come here on leg day. That's for sure.
Now, old school people would recognize that.
Very intense, like smell of like a
you got to walk upstairs or more downstairs after leg day.
Temple Gym,
Please give me a stroke.
Could you imagine the smell of that place?
Oh, this is William
I can
Oliphant
smell it
Jr.
now.
Here, Buster.
There's no air conditioning in there.
These are like all the guys working out here.
Don't have to do cardio.
You can see all like the old physiques on the wall from like back in the day.
This is what I thought.
And you compare that to like Gold's Gym.
All the
It's like
pioneer.
comparing like Grizzlies to a domestic house cat. Like the standard of physique back in the day to now is like insanely different. That's Eugene Sandow, who's considered the father of bodybuilding with a squat rack.
I think you and I
want to hang my coat on it,
trophies,
let
right?
alone unrack that thing.
Steve, that. Can you imagine that? If we had more time, you go out there and look at this.
Well, think about the dumbbells that they had. Okay, so we've used all the modern dumbbells where it's actually a give and a break in the curve. Those are solid cast irons where you get to the curve and there's nothing to generate, and it changes. So you think about how a lot of these old school guys had huge forearms. You look at Sandow; it was like his forearm was as big as his arm.
You had to work out to get the grip
from holding that
before
thing.
You could curl.
Yes.
So Eric, I don't know if you ever had to, but did you ever have to question the true weight of the weights?
Oh yeah, actually. Well, one of the gym chains we have in town, I always question if the 45s are really 45s.
It's okay, they're not.
Yeah, they didn't feel like it because I was a lot stronger.
I was the manager. I was the manager there. I know.
Well, sometimes the people would write on the side 43
strength
and a half.
That was strength and health.
Yes,
33 and a half.
So you got to find one that matches.
You would. So somebody went to that extent to get it correct because it mattered when they went to a competition.
Yeah.
So you had such a mishmash of weight. I don't know if you ever got to this one, Steve, but there was I saw it on an old school weightlifting site, and they came out with a mistake. Who was it? Bob Hoffman. He made a weight one time that had this guy lifting weights, and where the hole was, and you slipped it onto the bar. Was at the end.
I saw that.
It was on the anatomical correct thing. And somebody goes, "Did they really figure it out?"
Oh my! There's no way he made that mistake.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yes.
You had to like put that on
And you
at
go,
some point and go. That's probably not smart.
So it wasn't the industry, that we now see that you guys look for. I remember when the first line of
I was gonna. Okay, let me hijack that. Let me hijack that equipment. So we'll go back to the cast iron. So everything was cast iron back then. Nothing had to give. Everything was big and solid. Like you watch that video. If you guys want to, maybe we'll tie a link to that video later on, Josh, where you can actually see.
They had train wheels.
Yes.
As weights.
So you fast forward to now we're going to roll into your generation to where the Nautilus equipment was made. And I love that chain-driven Nautilus. I absolutely love it. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the Nautilus equipment came out, and they looked for a couple old school guys, and they got Mike Mincer.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike was this heavy-duty guy.
Yes.
Which you and I have talked about the heavy-duty a lot. And so he went to a chain-driven, and the guy that created the Nautilus line was a Marine colonel or something. And so
wasn't he like an aerodynamic engineer or something?
And so he would bring these chain-driven equipment into Gold's, and Joe Gold really welded this stuff in the original Gold's gym.
I was going to come to that. We're going to come back to that one.
And so as they came in, everybody's like going, really? So everybody goes, sits down and goes, oh, no. But then you get a heavy duty guy like Mike Mincer coming over and using it. You're like, oh, come on.
Is he the one who gave it credibility?
Well, he and the other one. So there's a new school guy. And if you're out there, Eddie Robinson, Eddie kind of tried to come back and help give it some more credibility. And I was in a show that Eddie was in, and that's a whole nother, he was much better bodybuilder than me, went on to win the USA. But
so it didn't really catch in the 70s, it caught in the 80s.
Well, it didn't even catch in the 80s. They were still trying to convince people that you could build a world-class physique with Nautilus equipment, and you cannot. You cannot. You can talk to Mike Mincer a little bit, and think if Eddie will hate me, but if you talk to Eddie about the 87 Nationals.
That's because he gave up free weights for it, huh?
He did.
Well, now, I don't think it's you should not give up free weights if you're competitive.
Well, what it is sponsorship, and everybody was trying to get sponsors, and they had some dough, and they were the first equipment line, so everybody's going to old school Nautilus.
So we'll slide from what you were saying from the Nautilus, the equipment that was made by him, and now the old schoolers, Vince, Golds, everybody like him that had their own gyms. The hack squad is literally named by a guy. Is it Hacksfield, if I'm not mistaken? That he actually these equipment was made. These guys would go out and figure ways to go.
And they would, and I think they would just weld something on it, because Strength and Health still has the manual one where you grip.
Yes.
I think we've all used enough weight and we lost our grip, and something negative happened to us. I passed out on that one time. And so, but you're sitting there grabbing and you're going, why didn't they just put the shoulder pads on?
So we'll fast forward. So we're going to keep, I know you like to talk, so we're going to keep moving before you beat me to the next question. So you had these guys back in the day that they invented it, and somewhere in the 90s and the 2000s. Well, actually, before I get that far, let's go to Hammer.
Well, let's go to Flex.
Okay, you want to go Flex?
Flex equipment was the first one that really came out, and they took the world, because they actually had some really good designs.
Okay,
I agree.
That old Flex equipment, if you guys can remember it. I had a friend that actually sold the stuff, and he was a really good bodybuilder actually, and he moved into that because he saw the future of it. And I think he still could be with Flex still out there.
So they got bought out by Star Trek.
Ooh,
and so Star Trek was still using some of their models, just put their little logo on there, change the upholstery a bit. But then, as far as I know, I don't think they're actually. I want to say actually Nautilus is come out with an Explode line, which was
That's crazy that Nautilus is still
Nautilus is still
Yes.
around. They own Stairmaster actually, or
Oh.
Stairmaster bought Nautilus, something like that.
Okay.
They somehow merged.
Yeah.
But yeah, Star Trek was the one who took over. They bought Flex out, I want to say early 2000s. And yeah, they're first. They still kept the pieces pretty true to the original, but then I think they started modifying it, or they just did away with the line in general.
Now the early Flex equipment, and it's going to fall over to the Hammer Strength. Those were made by guys who actually worked out.
Yes, they were. A lot of the guys there was a guy named Dan Howard who owned a gym called Howard's, and he was old school early guy.
Mhm.
And Dan owned a gym in Fountain Valley called Howard's.
Okay.
Another friend of mine, related to Roy Latimer, Roy's brother-in-law, bought it and called it Flex. But the Flex equipment line came out of that.
So the first generation Hammer is always my favorite.
Oh my, that was
First
such
gen
a
is definitely different than the
smooth.
new stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they took free weights and added the machine.
Yes.
And I mean, that was my first, like I'm going to try that because they're using real weights.
It made you want to use a machine.
Yeah, it did.
And then that first generation was actually made by, and this is where I'm going to fall back to in a second. That first generation was actually made by bodybuilders and people that worked
Football
out.
players.
And so they took people in and actually asked, hey, Tom, how does this piece of machinery feel?
Yes. And they would modify it.
And then somewhere along the line, most of these companies got bought out by conglomerates.
They did.
And then
Because there again, and we'll just say it, in the early days, the guys that actually were in the biz didn't make great businessmen.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Joe Gold would have testified to that.
Oh, he sold his name and started another gym called Worlds. Yeah, we just didn't play with all the faculty that
Yes.
What was it? We were more knuckle draggers back then.
So that now you had that period from about mid 90s. I'm going to go all the way to about 2000. I'm going to say all the way to social media. Before you started seeing equipment being made again by people who worked out. Because you think about the second, third, fourth, and fifth generation of Hammer, it just was not the same. You think about some of the equipment that came out, they were using metal like this instead of where you could feel it bend and you could feel it give away, and you were like, oh, I don't feel good about this. You could feel those things. So Eric, you guys have a lot of really cool equipment. So tell us a little more about the modern equipment that's come along since social media, because I geeked out when I went down this today, and I'll come back to my.
I want to go to your gym now.
I'm like,
you impressed this guy.
So when it's done, I'm going to come back because I want to hear how do you feel, because you came from the Hammer Strength, and then you babied in when they had all the.
So I'm gonna real quick. I came from 24 Hours.
Yes.
Really, what I consider my home gym. So
Yes.
we had a lot of Body Masters, which I'm a huge fan of, especially for leg stuff.
Yes.
We had a lot of the older Icarian pieces
Yes.
as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Hammer Strength was there. Those are the main three, as far as I can remember.
Now that gym, most of that equipment in that gym, a lot of people forget. Most of that equipment in that gym on White Lane was from a great gym, and you remember this gym, Ironworks.
Yes.
Ironworks, if they had never been bought out, would still be around and killing everybody. So all that equipment was made by a guy who was dedicated to working out. So continue.
And what got that company?
What do you mean?
Why'd they sell?
Yeah.
Oh, 24-Hour Fitness came in and offered everybody a payday.
Well, I had so many gym owners that really had that knack. Clint had that knack for strength and health in town.
Do you remember he shut down? They bought him out as well.
Well, some of the guys that were gym owners, it wasn't a great industry to be in, especially for guys. I know so many divorces that happened with gym owners and their wives and all that, because it was there again. It was an industry that just blew up and wasn't managed correctly.
Yeah, because you remember he was the original Body Exchange.
Yes.
The Ironworks,
Yes.
Bakersfield Athletic,
Yes.
and he had Visalia Athletic, and literally he had about 8 gyms, smaller gyms, and then he had this big iron pit. So Eric, continue on, like, as you came in and you got to go to White Lane, and then you journeyed off to some of the other gyms that came later, and you could see like the equipment fall off, and then compared to when you guys went equipment shopping.
Yeah, I mean, so I'd been to a couple gyms prior to the White Lane on 24 Hour on White Lane, which that was just what I fell in love with. They had the iron plates, the old school. It's still iron grip. Didn't love the octangular shape, but it was real steel. Love that. Loved, what I always like about machines is like you can jump on a machine without adjusting it too much, and you can know right off the bat if it's going to be a good movement or not. Right. And I've until some of the newer companies now, literally old school machines have been my favorite. I don't think anything from made in the late 90s, early 2000s could even compete with the stuff that was 10, 20 years older. I love that old Nautilus chain drive.
Yes.
You go to Gold's Gym still in Venice.
Yes.
They have the blue Nautilus.
CT has a whole backyard of that.
Really?
So when I used to drive down to CT's and it would go over there and it was like, yeah,
all the good stuff.
yes.
It felt real, felt heavy, but the movement pattern was even from top to bottom, which you get the contractions unreal compared to some of the machines that are made, in my opinion, that are inferior.
You feel the right side pull more than the left side pull for the belts out.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. But so that's what I say I grew up on. So then once 24-hour got shut down, jumped around a couple different gyms, but you have Precor and what else is new? Techno Gym is one of the newer ones. I'm not a fan of these new
Most new equipment.
There now.
Let's leave it there.
Yep. Not to jump into them. There's a couple that I do really like, so we'll jump into that in a little bit. But yeah, I recognized right off the bat, within 5 years of training, what I liked, what I didn't like, and it happened to be a lot of old school stuff.
It's so funny because we're all connoisseurs and snobs
of
100%. good equipment, especially everything migrated from dumbbell barbell.
Yep. Yes.
I mean, it just did. And then you mimic the movement. And a lot of them did a great job, and a lot of them did a terrible job.
The thing that they have, and I'm going to butcher the words how I want to say it. It's literally a rack for the dumbbells.
I know.
And I was like, where was this at 20 years ago?
Oh my gosh.
Talk about for the lifting off for press. Oh, I know. Great.
Yeah, they got it for the shoulders. I mean, I'm like,
how many shoulder injuries?
You don't have to kick it up.
That was half the battle, having this big giant thing and going.
How many people?
You'd have to get hyped up just to kick it over your head.
How many people were doing an incline press and you're stuck with the 120s on your knees going, I'm going to hurt my shoulder.
Oh, 100%.
I kicked one up and I kicked the other one up. You were looking for trouble, and it happened within this much of leaning back.
I remember breaking my phone.
Oh, yeah.
Because I forgot it was in my pocket.
Oh.
And I grabbed that big thing off the floor and I set it and I went crunch and I went, oh, well. Then I knew about that.
Or how many times you pull it up and it's like, this is like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember one time telling a young man at the gym, and I've got the 150s, and he's standing right there. I don't know if I told you the story, but he's right here. And I look at him, I go, hey, buddy, you probably don't want to stand there. And he gives me this defiant look. And I'm like, all right, cool. And I look at him, I go, hey, man, so when gravity takes over and these come down, do you think I'm going to drop them on my face or your foot? And it's like his reality. I go, and here I go. And he moved. I was like, when I'm done, they're going down
for 4.
Yes.
But anywhere between 2 and 3, we may have problems.
I have no idea what the number is going to be. When gravity is going to let me know, you're done, buddy.
Yeah. So there again, I think that's, and I think, and Eric, you and Steve, you can jump on this. I think there became a monetization too of the gym, because you realize, I mean, we all know the purple gym that doesn't let you drop weights on the floor. So I'm just saying, so you came to that happy medium where you're saying, I want the knuckleheads that are going to drop the weights, or I want people who are going to utilize my space premium.
Most gyms tried to phase the no necks out.
Yeah, they did.
And I can't blame
and I don't blame them. I don't blame
we
them.
were not very nice people, especially back
on a
then.
cycle.
Spit on the floor, yell at you, throw my bag at you, get out of my way.
In the bathroom.
Stand right behind you, breathing down your neck because I need to use that squat rack. I mean, I could sit here and listen to a plethora of things that you and everybody else that's been out there competing has done to the regular gym person. And it's kind of rude.
The people that are paying the bills.
The ones that keep the air conditioner on.
Yep.
and so you think about that. So they wanted to get rid of us. I remember when I became a manager of another gym. And
you had to kick you out.
I was amazed that they had these big giant plates. And then when I went to load up and I realized I could only put 4 wheels on there, and I was like, this is it?
It limits you, yeah.
And I was like, oh.
They only have 100-pound dumbbells. It's the heaviest they go.
I'm like, this is set number 2. Where's my other sets at? It was just, that was it. And that was the way to make sure. And like you said, you weren't even sure they were 45s. Amazingly, I remember going from that gym to NAS and laying under the same weight that I was still repping over there going, oh,
this is what the
cast iron, huh? It's pig iron, they call it.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have all these amazing gyms. So before we go into video number 2, I like to geek out and watch these gyms. Now, one of the most amazing things I like about your gym, Rap, is you guys have modern lighting.
Yeah.
How did you guys come across that lighting?
Yeah, no, actually, great question. I'm going to give all that credit to my business partner because he has a vision for a lot of the visuals. But the lighting it was kind of twofold. One, something unique, right? Their gyms have been starting to do more unique stuff with the lighting, and we wanted to do something as well that would stand out, right? Because when you look at videos or pictures that people are posting on social media, you notice like, oh, that's a cool looking light, or that that thing on the wall stands out. So anyway, we wanted lighting one just to be a visual, like something impressive, something that was unique. But then secondarily, like I mentioned earlier, people want to take pictures. People want to also, have good lighting when they lift their shirt up to see if they have abs or whatever it is they're flexing in the mirror. They want to have good lighting. So it was kind of twofold. One, it was just the visual. And then 2, it was let's give the people what they want. Let's give them a good, good lighting for photos.
Your gym, like I said, I geek out when I watch what I was saying earlier. I geek out when I watch these because I really would travel to all these different gyms. Oh man, I've been to a ton of gyms, and I geek out when I watch these gyms, especially the one in Philadelphia, the Fusion Gym. Oh, this thing's beautiful. The ones in Dubai, and you guys really, in essence, brought the spirit of Dubai to Bakersfield, because walking in your gym, you get that modern aesthetic feeling of like, hey, this is cool. Just like walking into Dubai. So kind of like, hey, Josh, let's roll into that next video. So walk in. Now, yours isn't like this.
Not quite.
Newest, hottest, trendiest gym here in Toronto. It is an influencer's paradise. They have the 3 vital S's. They have Starbucks, they have smoothies, and they have sushi. It is literally an 89,000 square foot shopping mall where you might get lost. So hopefully we don't get lost.
89,000.
It's like you're entering a courthouse.
Huge.
The last place smelled like history. This place smells like a corporate finance meeting.
Yeah, you're not dropping weights in there.
They have an aquarium in the gym. It's a nice little useful reminder where I am on the food chain. Maybe their protein bites are on the way out. They feel so elegant. I feel like I have to whisper being in here. And it looks like we just missed Taco Tuesday.
Could you imagine having a gym with food?
I could already imagine Mr. Beast making a video, anabolic hide and seek in this gym. What is this? I'm kind of like half expecting this to be wine coming out, or it's gonna ask me what my preferred pH balance is. Let's see. Oh, it's water. Is it sparkling water? We're having our pre-workout in the Salt Lounge. The saltiness in the air is taking me back to the Mediterranean. I can practically hear Stravos calling me back for round 2. We got ourselves some VPN flight. As always, link is in the description. Use my link. See this, guys? I always say, inhale donuts, exhale negativity.
I like that.
It's just the vibe, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Steve, you're saying that Eric brought that to Bakersfield. That's awesome. Good job.
I mean, this is how beautiful that gym looks, and don't just think Eric's gym's beautiful. It's actually a get down gym where you can. I've gone in there a couple of times, and I've had some real fun in his gym because, like I said, he's got a lot of the modern equipment that I nerd out on when I look at these Dubai videos. So before I jump forward to there, because I'm going to geek out in a minute. The equipment, raw equipment, that's one of the lines you guys have in there.
Yeah.
Social media has brought back people who work out, who make equipment.
Yeah.
Like Tom, when the equipment first came out for you guys, and it was Gold and Vince, and they were building these machines and these apparatuses, the Hackfield, they were making
it was like Christmas when they'd bring a new one in on Saturday. It's like, we can't use it yet.
Yeah.
Let me use it. Let me try it.
It's like, and you go home going, oh man, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
So now you got social media that has all these guys that, could you imagine Joe Gold or Vince and them being able to tell every meathead across the world, look what I built. Yes. And then you see it and you're like
and take a tape measure and go,
so you geek out. Like you said, you see this machine, like, hey, I want to use that. So the first thing I did when I walked in, I wasn't planning on training shoulders when I went to Collective, but he had the raw side shoulder raise, and I went, oh, it's shoulders. I'm doing shoulders today. Yep. I just have to know what that feels like.
The key for a RAV Toyota or a Porsche.
Yes, yeah. I just I've got to know what that feels like. And I fell in love, and I was like, that is so cool, because you guys have, because a lot of gyms have stalemated. Most gyms, like, they're all following the Planet
Yeah.
Planet whatever.
Well, I went in
Model.
the gym the other day and I figured it out. 2 days, all the push equipment was being reupholstered. So it was all,
Doing back your legs.
And so the next, then I figured that out. And then it was all the push.
Yes. So when you guys were out shopping for equipment, I asked you this earlier. When you guys look, I mean, you guys, one of the other guys that are with you guys, that's what he does. How much input do you have because I know you still like to work out, and I know you see this equipment and you're like, hey, can we get one of those?
Yeah.
Like,
It's that balance of like, okay, do we have money to spend on the equipment, right? It doesn't bring in revenue, but it's like it brings something else to the gym, right?
Like,
so
like
it's
you guys have a pendulum. I was like, I want to use that thing because I see those all the time, and I'm like, oh, I would love to be able to go to failure. Just a piece of machinery where I can just squat, and my legs go out, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna die right here, and I don't have to worry about being crushed.
Yep. Yeah, actually, that's what I love the hack squat for. The Cybex hack squat that we have is phenomenal for that. You bottom out and you
bottoms out right there.
Yep.
Okay.
You bottom out, you get right out.
Yeah.
That's my favorite hack squat that's ever made. The second one's actually the Body Masters that they have at Nas. Those two are, in my opinion, the best two hack squats I've ever used. But that being said, there's a lot of pieces that we have at the gym that, to be honest, I'd like to swap them out. It's just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of good pieces. There is one of the main pin selector lines is a Paramount, one of the Paramount's latest lines before they'd shut down. And again, not all perfect, but there's a few pieces, specifically the overhead tricep, which a lot of the machines I've used from other brands.
Well, you guys have an old school overhead tricep.
Yes. So, yep.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, and a lot of the times they'll hurt your elbows.
I was getting ready to say, it's the only one I've been able to use, and God knows when, that I can put the pin at the bottom and just rep.
And no one knows that feel until you're like, whoa.
And no elbow, just walking up like, they don't hurt.
Yeah, you're going slow to see if it's going to hurt. When's it going to hurt?
Yes.
I'm good.
Yes.
Then you can just rep it.
My first 2 sets, I was like, okay, when's my elbow going to tell me enough? And then I was like,
yeah.
Isn't that just shows you how important good equipment is?
100%.
Because if you're out there and you're going to end up with an injury, why not go to a gym that you can actually?
I couldn't tell you how many times I've hurt my elbow because the pulley isn't properly greased.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Or like,
stick.
Man,
this going up.
This 60 pounds is a lot lighter last week.
I got a question. Tom, I got a question for you. You'll be able to answer this for me. When did it become all important to have a jungle gym in the middle of the gym, taking up the whole space?
Okay, the biggest piece of equipment that I think is a waste, I'm going to say it, is the cable crossover. I mean, it spans such a large
that jungle gym, that whole thing.
And if you think you're really going to do a push down when it's lined up to do cable crossovers, and it just mimics the crab, and there's 100 other exercises, are much better for chest than that.
What is that one machine, Eric? It's a smaller machine, and the arms go up and down.
The free motion.
The free motion. Yep. I think that jungle gym should replace. You can replace it with 2 or 3 free motions.
Yep.
Yeah, and you gain the space back.
Yes.
Yep.
I hate that jungle gym. When I walk in, I'm like, well, that's like 12 pieces of equipment that could go right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I used to always do that because it's like, of course, they sell it to the gym owner, like, oh, you can do push downs over here, curls and this. Well, you're never going to get to that because everybody's always doing a cable cross, or they're doing the.
Oh yeah, and that's my bigger pet peeve with that piece is like, if you have, they call them 12 stacks or 8 stacks, depending on how many cables, right? But if you have somebody in the middle hogging both the middles,
it's gone. The whole machine's over with.
Yeah, that's where you need the free motion. Yeah, that's what that one is.
Or somebody's doing the double bicep.
Oh yeah,
that's always a great exercise.
Tom, did you ever go to Flamingos in Gold's Flamingo?
Uh-huh.
Now, when I went into Gold's Flamingo, it's the first time I realized that a jungle gym was completely pointless.
Yes. I mean,
they had the individual pull downs and rows on each side. It was an individual piece of equipment.
I saw them bring in a piece of equipment and take it out in the same day.
Wow.
Bring it in going, oh, no, we're not doing this. And take it right out.
At that Gold's Flamingo?
Yeah. Put it out in the parking lot. Yeah. Just because it's like that, that's not cool.
And like you said, there's a tricep apparatus on one side, a curling apparatus on the other side. And it was just like, you can put about 15 pieces of machinery in where there's a jungle gym, and it's all the same things.
Yeah. I've seen it happen at Gold Gym Venice too, is they would bring a piece of equipment in, and I'm sure some salesman talked them into it. Oh, yeah. And all the guys are like, they're protesting. Oh no, get this piece of crap out of here. There's no feelings hurt down there. It's like, oh, if 2 or 3 guys will do it, and they'll go walk away.
Now, Tom,
the machine's out.
Could you imagine? Okay, like I said, I geek out so much when I see the Dubai type of gyms, like this one we just saw with the food.
Yeah.
Now,
I don't
tell
think
us-
my dreams even incorporate the Dubai gyms. I see them in the stuff, and I'm like, what the?
Now, could you imagine you guys back in your heyday coming in after that generation where you guys actually hung out all day long, right there from beach to the gym, and the world famous firehouses, world famous because you guys would just walk over to Firehouse and they had the 12 egg,
or the Rose,
the 12 egg omelet.
I went to the Rose when it was just a breakfast place.
And so, could you imagine if you had a restaurant?
Oh, well, the only restaurant we had was a barbecue in the back, and I don't think I'd eat off it nowadays. I'm serious. We cooked breakfast. I mean, if somebody said, "Hey, we're doing some eggs," I would do probably 100 dozen eggs. Wow. And just, but I'm just saying I wouldn't eat off the stuff anymore. But I'm just saying.
But back then you were hungry.
It was a different. It was, yeah, you went to people go, "How long you work out?" I go, "All day."
Yes.
My drug cycle was crazy, so I had to. I mean,
utilize it. I mean,
we got the real stuff. I mean, it was just like, whoa. And so you could utilize, a nitrogen anabolic stage all day long, and
that's the purpose. Most people
keep feeding it.
I don't want to jump because I want to save this for another episode, but most people don't understand that the drugs that they're taking is only to make the protein work better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
so we'll say that for another show. Say that for another show. Oh, we're going to be another show where we'll talk about.
They're going to do a 3 show episode about just the trends, and they just drugged me on today, and I enjoyed it being with Eric and my friend Steve.
Frapp, take us home, sir. Tell us a little more about Collective. How we get a day pass. How they can get memberships. Tell us a little more about Collective.
Yeah, so we try to make it as easy as possible, right? So you can visit the website where you can sign up for a membership. You can visit the desk. We have pretty much some staff there from basically 9 a.m. till 11 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then weekends are pretty much like 9 to 6. But outside of that, our Instagram has the link to sign up as well. You can always just message us, and we'll send you over the sign up link. But everything is automated as possible, right? So it's a quick, easy sign up through your phone, through a computer, etc. And you can get access pretty much within 20 minutes after signing up. You'll get an email from our door access program, and you have access 24 hours, 365.
I was so impressed. Kale came to a Bible study that I was doing, and I talked about a guy, and he goes, "Yeah, we canceled his membership." And I go, "What?" I go, "So did you guys have to talk to him?" He goes, "No, he just can't get in."
Well, we've had to talk to someone too. We have had to kick the person out as well. Yeah.
But it was just funny because he said, "Yeah, I
think that's one of the coolest things about like NAS is like that. Your key just doesn't work anymore.
Yep. You'll know when you're not welcome.
Yeah. Guess you need to figure out why the red light turns on.
Yesterday it was green.
Not anymore. But yeah, so I mean, just kind of take it home, just to touch on a little bit of the modern equipment. I mean, again, I have a huge list of equipment I love to bring in, substitute out. Just a couple brands, right, that you guys might want to talk about later. Prime Fitness has a few pieces that I'm a big fan of.
Yes.
Right, you can change where it's loaded as far as in the movement. If you want to load the stretch, the mid, or the contraction.
It's got the 3 layers of plates.
Yep. And the same thing on their pin selector. They have the cam that you can adjust for the same purpose.
This is just an old school guy because I've got so many injuries. But I love what you just said because I'm doing that by myself. I'm doing the 3 ranges of motion. Somebody the other day goes, "Hey, sir, if you would just kind of go up all the way, that'd be better." I go, "So if you hang around long enough, you'll see me hit all the quadrants of my quad. But I got one piece of equipment that only moves one way."
Yeah.
Now I hear you saying that you can change the load.
Yeah.
My mind's like, what?
Yeah.
My mind went.
Check out Z and M. I just saw them today when I was geeking out. He's a Russian guy in Dubai.
All right.
And his equipment, you can superset off every one. And I was just sitting there like,
let me go.
It was pretty awesome. Tom, take us home.
Well, hey, if I could get into a DeLorean and go back in time, but have this equipment, I'd be a different man. I really would. So, hey, I'm really excited that Steve and Eric are carrying on Muscle Matters because muscles do matter. Tune in every Tuesday at 6:30. You'll have Steve, you'll have Eric, and then I will be. I love what I'm doing. I love producing, and I love being behind the scenes. But I can join in, and I could just be part of the show. So, if you're out there, Steve, where do they find Sports Centers?
We're located at 7420 District Boulevard, right across the street from Nestle.
Hey, remember the antithesis of sweet ice cream, and you'll go to Steve's shop and you'll make it. And Eric,
Yep, 9500 Brimhall Road. So right by Action Sports and Earners.
I love it. So, hey, you guys have a great day. Stay fit because you're going to need it when you get older. Trust me.